Pokemon! 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 Hello everyone, Dustin Benzel here, and welcome to another Pokemon XY anime discussion. Today is going to be basically a mini review of the episode that just aired. Sorry that I'm fixing my camera here. Want it to look a little bit better. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Basically, I watched the episode. It wasn't bad. Like I said, not really my thing because Braixen belongs to Serena. I'm not going to hold that against it, but basically that was the case. So, let me just do a quick summary of what happened. Braixen and Serena were training. Braixen's sticks get broken. James comes aboard wanting to help Braixen after Braixen refused to take sticks. They go to Nurse Joy. Nurse Joy couldn't help fix the stick. But then they go to a guy who I think helped a sawsbuck antler who had a broken antler, and their antlers are made of wood. This is just an assumption. Do not quote me on this because I don't speak Japanese. The guy, Jingaro, fixed an antler, might be able to fix a piece of wood. They go to him. He decides he wants to battle against Braixen for whatever reason to see what's going on. Then Ash and company get to board. Jesse and Meowth apparently get completely impatient. They interrupt. James goes back to being James of Team Rocket rather than someone who helped. The flashback with James' mother was basically just a bottle cap and a voice. Basically, I don't think we actually saw James' mother at all. It was just a voice. Anyway, Team Rocket are blasted off thanks to Braixen using Fire Blast. The stick is completely broken. Jingaro tells Braixen basically any stick will work, and that the reason why Braixen apparently liked the stick she did was because it represented the bond with Serena, Braixen, and that's why she wanted the stick, why Braixen wanted the stick. But Jingaro said that the bond doesn't come from a material object. I'm assuming, again, don't speak Japanese, that the object itself doesn't matter, and that the bond between trainer and Pokemon is separate from the stick, and therefore any other stick will work. And basically, Pancham brought out a stick, gave it to Braixen. Braixen was a little bit happy because it represented the Pancham apologizing for breaking the stick. I think it was Pancham's first stick that they chose, but Braixen refused it. Serena touched it. Braixen was happy. Then the battle continues between Gallade and Braixen. If I didn't already say that before, Braixen uses Fire Blast. The battle ends. End of episode. Whoop-de-doop-de-doop-de-doo. That's it. Alright, thank you for watching. No, just kidding. I will see you in my next... No, I'm just kidding. So here's some things that we need to talk about. There are like 5 things here. Braixen. Pretty good character development. We got to see fastest. We get to see that Braixen has a really deep bond with Serena, and this is represented by that stick that broke, or twig, or however you want to call it. So it's really nice to see that maybe their friendship or their bond maybe like suffer as a result of this broken thing. I don't know if that's accurate. Again, I don't speak Japanese, but I assume that's the case. Jingaro seems like a decent guy. He looks like some sort of like a plant kind of guy, or wood type of guy. Grass type kind of guy, I guess, where he like fixed plants and Pokemon of grass type variety or anything relating to wood. He seemed like a decent sage kind of guy, so he was okay. James, it was really nice to see James upset about Braixen having a broken twig. I was wrong in my previous speculation. I thought that James would want Braixen to go with him, and it was going to be a trick to get Braixen, but that didn't happen. Of course, the preview kind of eliminated that as a possibility since it was more focused around Jingaro than James, and I don't think James was actually in the preview at all now that I think about it. So, yeah, and then it was a little weird that Jesse got a little impatient and wanted to get Pikachu, which they failed, and James was a little bit reluctant to do the motto, but he was like, oh, you know what, fine, Jesse, let's just do the motto, let's just get this over with. Let's just blast off, because that's all we're good for, basically. So then there's the battle between Jingaro and Braixen, which is really kind of cool, you know? It's interesting. It didn't actually have a conclusion because after one fire blast, the battle ended. So there was really no conclusion, but it was really nice. Nice seeing Gallade using Psycho Cut and stuff. You know, seeing Braixen using Fire Blast. Speaking of Fire Blast, I'm not sure I understand why Braixen is learning Fire Blast. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Fennekin was the one that learned Flamethrower as a Fennekin. So maybe a Fennekin using Fire Blast may have been slightly inappropriate, and maybe what they really wanted was Braixen with a Fire Blast. And I can kind of see that because Fire Blast, or Daimonji, I believe is the Japanese name, has more Pokemon Showcase appeal, and that it'd be better for Pokemon Showcase. Speaking of which, I feel like I remember seeing a preview where Fire Blast hit with, like, Dark Pulse, maybe. Maybe. I'm not really sure. I think that was the case, but I'm not entirely sure. So, yeah. What else can I say? It was pretty much a basic character development episode just revolving around Braixen, and so that's why there really wasn't a lot to discuss about this particular episode, which is why, hey, only 6 or 7 minutes have passed by now. So yeah, it was a pretty decent episode. Wasn't the best, but I guess that's because I'm biased against Serena having Braixen, but taking away my bias, it was a pretty good episode for Serena and Braixen got something out of it. I don't know why it got Fire Blast out of it, but I'll accept it because maybe Fire Blast was supposed to always be the move that Braixen was supposed to end up with. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Now let's discuss the next episode preview a little bit. Not gonna lie, there are very few parts of the preview that I'm excited about. Charmeleon versus Fletchinder is an okay thing. Fletchinder evolving was an okay thing. And the very last moment of Fletchinder evolving into Talonflame, basically in a big giant lava type imagery or whatever. Well, not necessarily lava, but a different type of flame effect, basically. If that's evolution, and that's Fletchinder evolving into Talonflame, despite the fact that it looks like no one, then it's really cool. Outside of that, everything else about the preview was boring and did not hype me up at all. Not saying that the episode is going to be bad, but like I said, the episode did not hype me up at all. It was horribly boring and disappointing. I was expecting at least one image of a half second of Talonflame. And we didn't even get that. Nope, not at all. We didn't get a single thing of that. Wow. Nope. Alright, let me think about this for a moment. And really, did the preview have to have a Clement invention, which appears to be a Clement invention, could be a Team Rocket invention, probably more likely a Team Rocket invention now that I actually think about it. Going crazy, nuts, trying to capture things, was that really necessary in the preview? But I guess whatever to get Team Rocket involved, I guess, whatever. So that's pretty much it. I am looking forward to the episode. Even though the preview was boring, I'm hoping that the next Get TV preview is going to up it up. going to bring it up so it's a little bit better, but there is one thing I have to address. And I know I've said this in like 2 or 3 videos by now, but I really, really need to ask the very most important question, the most important question of them all, in regards to Ash and his Pokemon. When is Ash going to train Noibat? Okay? At this particular point, I don't even think learning how to fly considered development for Noibat, because that was needless and was resolved almost instantaneously. Was kind of cute in the first episode. At the time, I was okay with it resolving completely in the following episode. But now, we're not seeing Noibat at all. Now, hopefully I'm wrong and Noibat will appear in next week's episode and is training against Fletchender, and we actually get moves, and then as Noibat is recalled, then we get into Fletchender. Because guess what? I also remember seeing Frogadier in the episode, which means Frogadier is going to show up. Why is it that Ash is not training Noibat? Why are we getting all these random, non-important fillers for the most part, even though they're fun? Some of them have been fun. Not that one episode that will remain nameless, but a lot of them have been fun. But how come we're not getting any sort of Noibat focus? And the most we've ever gotten after Sky Relay was last week's episode, where basically the only thing it did was show up and look for Noibat, or look for Chespin and Bunnelby, and that was it. It had a minor cameo in the Mamoswine episode, and a very minor role cameo shot in the Pokeball Factory episode. Can we please get Noibat? Please? The only hope we have at this point is that the Blastoise that we know is coming up is Tierno's Blastoise. And Ash uses Noibat during that episode. If it's a Seabold episode, well, then we could kiss our collective butts goodbye, because, well, unless it's Sableye, we're not seeing a lot of focus. And we all know that the Eevee episode coming up is most likely going to focus around Serena. It seems the writers and producers are making it really hard for me to accept Noibat. I accepted it at first. I expected there was going to be great development for it. And it's been barely, 2-3 months now. Probably more like 2 months. And Noibat hasn't received any focus. Not exactly happy. And the sad thing is, we're probably going to be a month or 2 months before Noibat actually gets focus. So, we're looking at near half a year. We're going to be potentially looking at half a year where Noibat does not get any focus. At this particular point, I'm really starting to believe there was no purpose for releasing Goodra. Outside of you did it just because. Because honestly, you could have treated Goodra the same as you are treating Noibat now, and it would not have made a difference. Ash probably would not have used Goodra against Valerie due to the immunity, and it would not have been a problem. And Noibat could have been replaced with a 6 capture instead of Noibat, and potentially we could have gotten something else, and maybe we wouldn't have to worry about it. And then maybe that Blastoise coming up, if it is Tierno, then that might mean that we could get something like Blastoise versus Goodra, Blastoise having like some sort of ice type attack, and maybe Goodra losing. But we're not going to get that, are we? I really want to like Noibat. But right now, Noibat is pointless and useless, and even if it's adorable and cute, it should not have been caught. It definitely should not have been caught as an egg Pokemon. If Noibat was not an egg Pokemon and was injured, horribly injured, and Clement had fixed it, basically, with Ash's help, and Ash helped Noibat relearn how to fly, and it used moves and stuff in the episodes that it actually appeared, that would have been more justifiable. But a brand new hatched Pokemon that Ash is not training at all. Now, this is probably going to be my last episode review in a long time that I'm going to mention Noibat. I'm not going to mention Noibat in next week's episode, and any episode that is not going to have anything to do with Noibat, unless it annoys me, it's probably not going to be at Noibat. So don't worry, I'm not going to keep this up. I'm not going to keep this discussion up. But I am really not happy at all. I'm really hoping I'm wrong. And next week, Noibat will appear and use moves. Because if all it is Fletchender just flying around and they meet... Or, no, hold on. If it's Trevor shows up, Ash uses Fletchender against Charmeleon, and that's why Fletchender is in the episode. I'm going to be upset because it should have been Noibat and Fletchender training. Noibat is recalled before Ash could recall Fletchender. Trevor comes back and is like, "Oh, Fletchender, how would you like to battle my Charmeleon?" Or "How would you like to battle?" And then Ash shoots. Or maybe, I don't know. Let's just move on, shall we? Bunnelby summary. We have a summary for the Bunnelby episode finally. Oh, we also have a title. Whoops. Okay. A Train Revisited. Clement and Bunnelby. And what's the summary? Ash and his friends fall into a pitfall. This causes Clement to remember when he first caught Bunnelby. So this will definitely be a Bunnelby-focused episode. I'm still leaning towards an anti-evolution episode based on the injured Bunnelby in the preview and the fact that there's a Diggersby in the data broadcast Pokemon implying that Diggersby is going to injure Bunnelby. And on top of that, Bunnelby seems like it's going to exist outside of this episode because Eevee has not shown up yet. And if the merchandise of Talonflame and Eevee and Chespin and Bunnelby are accurate, then it's not going to happen at this particular moment. But I'm going to give some leeway here. It's entirely possible that Bunnelby might evolve in the future, and this episode won't be Bunnelby refusing to evolve. I still think it's going to be the episode where Bunnelby refuses to evolve, but I guess we'll have to see. Or at least some sort of dislike of Diggersby implying that it's never going to evolve. I guess we'll have to see. So anyway, I think this is it. Sorry this episode may not have been as in-depth or as long as you may have wanted or expected from me. But it is still pretty long. 20 minutes is still pretty long. So anyway, yeah, there just wasn't a lot to discuss mostly. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.